Hello, this is Samantha again, and I'm just going to go over what happened to me on the first night that I tried ayahuasca. It was on a Saturday night, and we went through the ceremony. They did drumming, and then they cleansed us with sage. And when I mean they, I mean the facilitators of the ceremony. They were very professional, and they were dressed all in white, just so that we as the journey people could see or could identify them, because our minds were kind of in a haze later on. But anyway, so we went through all of that. Then we were given a little cup of the ayahuasca. And the first time drinking it, it didn't taste that bad. Although I will say the following times it gets harder and harder and harder to keep the stuff down, because even thinking about it now, I have a very strong dislike of the taste of it. It's kind of hard to explain, but basically the taste of it was like sort of like mud, or like rooty tasting, like very like it's made from a root, and it's combined with the leaves. The ayahuasca vine is beaten and basically just like broken down, and it's a difficult process. I don't really understand it, but basically they cook it for a few days, and they combine the ayahuasca vine with the leaves of the chacruna plant. So chacruna leaves, and CHACRUNA, and yeah, and there you have like the actual liquid. They call it the sacrament. So we were told to drink it and try to keep it down for at least, I think it was 10 to 15 minutes. And I was like, oh, this is easy. And then, like, for me, it took me maybe about a half hour before I purged. So it came out. And the facilitators were great in that they would walk around and make sure that everybody had like a little plastic bucket. It was like a little plastic garbage can. And they, when they saw somebody purging, they would go over and give them paper towels and stuff. So it was really like a well facilitated ceremony, and I felt safe there. And they had some music playing in the background. The music was by a group called Liquid Bloom. You can look it up on Spotify or on YouTube. But anyway, so it took me about a half hour. I started purging, and then maybe about like an hour later, I just laid down. We were laying down on pads, like little sleeping pads with some blankets, and it was kind of a cool night. It was in Florida, so I'm thankful that I did it in the cooler weather. But anyway, I closed my eyes and I just listened to the music, and I started to sense that something was changing. And I basically, the first experience that I had, it's kind of hard to describe, but it was almost like I was enveloped by liquid love. It was like I was swimming in this viscous liquid. It was kind of like a syrupy liquid. It was multicolored, but more like earth tone covered. And I was just like sort of like being like rotated in this. And the feeling I got was of overwhelming love. Like I was completely and utterly loved. And it was stronger than like motherly love that I felt. It was incredible, and it was life changing. And then I had another experience where I remembered, I was sort of like going back to my back to my job where I was working. I was working driving trucks for the state of Vermont, and I did not have a good relationship with my coworkers. However, I was shown, sort of in an intuitive manner, how I could change my perspective to one of love, how I could just love them as opposed to dislike them. And I will say that that feeling stayed with me for several months after my initial experience. And then I had another experience where it was like I went to a different planet, and the planet I was on was the planet of Ganesh's, the Indian god, who's the elephant god of Indian or Hindu religion. And I saw this. I was like in a room with one of these creatures, and it was like this baby Ganesh, and it was like maybe, I don't know, maybe the equivalent of 8 or 9 year old child here on Earth, and it was just peaceful. It was just sleeping and kind of yawning and relaxing, and it was and I just felt like immense love, like this planet was infused with love, like there was just a loving overall vibrational harmony to the nature of this planet. And I was just experiencing a microcosm of it in here with this baby. And it was just it was really a beautiful moment. So I'm going to skip ahead and go to there was more things that happened, but that's the gist of the visuals that I had on Saturday night. But then on Sunday morning we had another experience. So I drank ayahuasca again early in the morning. It was maybe around 8 o'clock in the morning, and we did it outside, where we had pads like sitting in kind of a nice little Florida forest. It was like this well walked path, but it was right on the property that we were on. And I struggled to I guess like I was kind of resisting like having an experience. And so what they did, they blew this, they took this this horn. Basically it was like a long skinny horn. I don't know what animal it was from, but it had openings at the wide end and then at the small end. And they would pack this stuff called is some kind of sage. It's not salvia, but it was some kind of sage that helped to release the any resistance that you might have. So they said, are you sure you want to do this? And I said yes. And I was kind of like, I finished purging. I had actually purged like into the earth itself and just given it back. It was instead of like purging into a bucket, but it was I asked them to do the sage process. I forget what they call it, but basically they would take the small end, pack it with the sage, take the big end, and then they would put the small end up one of my nostrils, and then they were like, and they blew it. And it felt like the sage like coated my brain. That's the best way that I could explain it. My whole body literally started vibrating. Like I felt like vibrations, almost like physical, but like beyond that, it's kind of hard to explain. So they did it again with the other nostril, and it blew over my brain again. And I felt that effect. And right then and there, I actually purged. I purged again, and my whole body was vibrating, and I was purging probably for about a good 5 minutes or so. a lot of time is like kind of distorted when you're in that state of mind. And I fell back onto, or I laid back down onto the pad, and I was just like looking around. I was trying to keep my eyes closed so I could have the experience, but I was compelled to open up my eyes, and I saw the plants, like those fern plants that are like these big like leaves, and I reached out and I touched the plant, and I felt the plant was showering me with love. And it was basically a glimpse into the entire world. And all of nature is like this one vibrational love. It's this vibrational loving energy that comes out of the plants. It was absolutely incredible. And I really, really enjoyed it. I can't really remember a lot from that time, but that was the experience that I had, and it just further, cemented my feeling that that we were unconditionally loved, not only by God, but also by everything under the sun. And like all the plants and all of like nature is just loving. And when we walk amongst nature, we are exposing ourselves to that love, and we are regenerating our bodies. And it was a beautiful experience. And also, I wanted to say that I received a very strong side benefit from both of these ayahuasca experiences. I used to drink, hard cider probably about 3 times a week, and I would get blackout drunk. And it was mostly because I didn't like myself. I hated myself, as a matter of fact. And when I was shown that we are unconditionally loved, to me that sort of broke that. It broke that into, because you are loved unconditionally, you don't need to numb yourself anymore. And it further pushed me on a path of self-exploration. And I've become a much better, a much more different person than I used to be. And I just quit drinking just like that. I just quit drinking, and I guess like you could have called me an alcoholic before, but afterwards I didn't even touch the stuff for at least 4 years. And then after that, occasionally I would drink, but and I still drink once in a great while, maybe once every couple of years when I'm out with friends or something, but I never drank to the point that I used to. And so that was a huge, huge, huge change, because I was struggling with that addiction for probably a good 25, 30 years. So I have received that benefit, which was absolutely stunning. And I was incredibly thankful for that experience. So that's more or less it in a nutshell. I wish I had made a recording much sooner after. That way I could, this happened probably about 7 or 8 years ago. So it's still, I still like listen to the music from Liquid Bloom, and that'll sort of bring me back to that experience. It's sort of like it was anchored into my system. So yeah, that's been my experience, and I'm really happy to be able to share that with all of you. And thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and like and subscribe my video. I'm still new to making YouTube videos, and so eventually I'll get those buttons up and running and stuff. And yeah, that's it. I hope you have a great day, and thank you so much.